Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between Fnatic MSI's Rain versus It's Gosu's HwanSin or HwanSin, depending on if you have the Korean version, the English phonetic version, the Cantonese version, or the Mandarin version. I'm gonna try to call him the Protoss player throughout the rest of the match because last time I tried to pronounce HwanSin correctly, I just got flamed a whole bunch of times on really how to say his name. Now, Rain spawning as the green Terran player on the left-hand side of the map. This is MLG dual site. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side of the map, we do have HwanSin, the red Protoss player. Protoss versus Terran here on MLG dual site. Only 2 starting locations, and we'll see what strategies both of these players come up with. Now, fortunately for me, I have been able to watch a lot of HwanSin's games recently. The Protoss player over here, he was featured in Wednesday Night StarCraft playing against VV Gaming twice. He played a lot of games. I'm not going to give you any details just in case you haven't seen those games, but very exciting games if you guys have not watched them. They are on my channel and Matron StarCraft's channels as well for the past 2 weeks. VV Gaming challenging It's Gosu for another set of games, as we now see a probe making its way out and doing a bit of scouting. So this probe now wandering around will quickly come up this ramp over here on the far side. Meanwhile, back over here, Rain has not gone for any refinery, so he is going for essentially a gasless play. It looks like he will be perhaps building an additional command center either here or perhaps over here as well to lift off and land in this location. This map very, very nice for Terran players as they can hide a command center over here, and the probe is unable to really get any sighting or any information even if it comes up along this side. The supply depot now taking a little bit of damage there. The SCV does need to repair this. The supply depot now, yes, will be repaired there. That probe knows that it cannot deal enough damage, as we are now going to perhaps see this probe taking a look around the map, seeing if there's any additional proxy barracks. Down over here, we do have a cybernetics core now warping in. The assimilator is already up. A very standard build coming in from the red Protoss. He most likely will be getting a Stalker, chrono boosting that out, and then also getting a chrono boosted out a little bit of that warp gate tech. A little curious as to why he isn't currently going for any zealots, and because of this and the large amount of minerals, he may either be trying to be queuing up or perhaps trying to do a nexus play, or he could be going into some cheese, but there's only 1 gas right now. As that Stalker is now being chrono boosted out, we need to see what that second production building is from Protoss. Protoss may be going for a very, very fast expansion here, or he may be going into a lot of gateway. We'll see what's going to be happening as we now get another pylon. Back here, we can see a command center being built behind the minerals. Very nice of Rain so far. He still does not have any gas whatsoever. Instead, going off of a 4 racks build, and he's going to have a lot of Marines. So these Marines are going to be able to punish a very, very tech-heavy HwanSin if he does try to get a Nexus and then perhaps goes into a robotics facility or a Stargate. If he does go for a robotics facility and a Stargate, there's going to be a very nice window of opportunity for Rain to attack with simply a lot of Marines. Production-wise, we can only see a Stalker now being trained up. You can see 2-3 Stalkers are making their way across the map. This command center now upgrading to an orbital command. As we are running off of 4 production buildings, you can see that there is, a group of 4 Marines over here by the Zelnaga Tower. This one Marine is going to get picked off in transit, as the Stalkers are now going to be trying to push up this ramp just a little bit. There are, 2 Marines over here. The Marines are going to be able to fight back and deal some damage. 1 Marine going to get picked off already. It looks like those 2 Stalkers are going to be able to finish off a lot of these Marines. And HwanSin, with only 2 Stalkers, dealing a decent amount of damage now. The Stalkers are trying to back off. HwanSin making sure that the lower hit point Stalker is on the low part of that ramp now. There is now a group of, 4 Marines coming in from behind, though. And with the Marines coming in from behind, they may be able to pick up all of these Stalkers. The Stalkers are now in a bit of trouble trying to run around that backside there. This is not good news at all for HwanSin. HwanSin, who had such a nice early advantage, ends up losing those 2 Stalkers. So a lot of low hit point Stalkers have been destroyed, and now taking a look at the army combinations for 500 versus 125. This one Stalker is going to have a very difficult time as we see a mass Marine play come off. We're going to have a 4 racks pressure off of an expansion as this Nexus is now up and running. We can see that there are 3 additional gateways though, so HwanSin should be able to fend off anything, any additional attacks as those Stalkers are now making their way across the map, across the ramp here. You can see that the Stalkers came down the ramp. I'm not sure if they saw anything or perhaps saw a couple Marines. There is this fire brush over here. The Marines are going to be able to pop through 9 Marines with, what, 13 total Marines, and in comes the Marines now. The Marines going to just storm in, charge in. 1 Stalker already down. More Marines continuing this push here, and the Stalkers are going to have a very, very difficult time as the Stalkers are getting pressed up against the backside of that wall. Another Stalker down, and another Stalker may get taken down. No, just enough to stay alive. You can see that there are more Stalkers now warping in. This is going to be a very difficult time for Rain to try to push up this ramp there, but there are reinforcements now coming in. The Stalkers are going to get picked off. No, down to 7 hit points as the Marines try to maximize their damage. More reinforcements still coming in. This Stalker over there has to be careful. It's only 3 Stalkers versus a dozen Marines or so, give or take, as another probe will get taken down, and HwanSin's Nexus will be just take a beating in terms of damage. Stalker is now slowly starting to recharge those shields. Bunkers are being established by Rain over here on the far side. More Stalkers are going to get destroyed, so just mass Marines, even without stim, dealing so much damage to these Stalkers. The Stalkers trying to micro back. It looks like another Stalker will get taken down, but I believe 4 Marines against the rest of these units here, not going to work out as Rain's harassment has come to an end. But a lot of damage has already been dealt. 39 probes compared to 36 SCVs, but we have 2 mules in play, as we now see Rain transitioning into a lot of barracks, adding on some tech labs, even adding on a reactor as well. The Observer was destroyed there, and now a much larger standing army by Rain. Rain should be able to perhaps add that reactor, get a starport, and as long as he's able to keep his opponent from being able to macro up a large enough army, he should be able to deal a lot of damage here. An SCV trying to do a run by there. Unfortunately, an SCV does not move as fast as a Stalker, as we are now going to see a group of Marauders. The Marauders do not have concussive shells, as we are now going into a robotics bay. So the robotics bay about to be completed. So we are going to have a little bit of time before we finally get a Colossus, and the Colossus is actually the perfect counter. The Zealots getting slowed as the concussive shell was just completed in time. Stalkers are now desperately trying to run away once more. What's going to be happening here as the pylon may get destroyed? More Zealots are warping in now. 1 Stalker does get taken down. Another Stalker going to get taken down. As both sides are continuing this fight, reinforcements still coming in. Probes coming off the mineral line to try to fight back this swarm, but a lot of probes going to get destroyed. The Zealots now going to have a problem as the Marauders and the Marines now have stim. Zealots going to get taken down even before they warp in or deal any damage at all, as the Marines are going to be able to destroy all the probes at the natural expansion. The probes trying to hide in the assimilator. Only 1 probe at a time, please, as all of these Marines and the Marauders are going to finish off all of these probes here. I believe the Colossus may be able to catch up. No, not going to be able to at all. Now going to turn around quickly, try to engage, perhaps deal some actual damage to the Colossus, as a fresh group of Marauders and Marines comes in from the brush. And there's the GG. So a very, very well-played game by Rain, putting a stop to HwanSin. HwanSin, a very, very high-ranked Protoss player in North America, losing to Fnatic's MSI's Rain. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for Game 2.